why, yes, I am hiding from my kids. Something I've gotten asked a lot is why we started homeschooling. And there was kind of a lot of reasons. It started a few years ago of just feeling like we really should. And at that time in my life, there was so much going on. I had just had the twins. My husband had been in an accident. My health was going downhill. And that feeling was pushed aside because I thought there is no possible way we could ever do this. And so fast forward a couple years and we ended up moving. My kids at the time were attending a charter school. And when we moved, it was just not feasible to keep driving them every day. It was ridiculous. And so we finished out the school year and then started at the public school that was by our house. And at that point, I had 4 kids in school. My dyslexic child was in kindergarten, and my oldest was in 5th grade. So I had 4 kids in school, and then I had 3 young ones at home. And that was okay. My oldest previously had been in some accelerated classes. He was getting frustrated because he was forced into a class with all these kids that had no desire to learn, were acting out constantly. And the teacher that he had at the time even retired halfway through the year. That's how bad it was. My next oldest, E, she just stopped turning in anything. She would do her schoolwork and just leave it in her backpack. She was not thriving at all because she would not turn in anything. And then we have R, and she right now she's 9. We've dealt with a lot with her. She has a vaccine injury that we've worked a lot with, but this has also manifested itself in a social anxiety type of behavior. And so being stuck at school for half the day and having to behave a certain way and being around other kids and kind of an uncomfortable situation for her, she was not coping well once she got home. And even when she started kindergarten, we were at a point where she would scream all day long. I would drop her off at school and then pick her up, and then she would scream the rest of the night. And she was completely inconsolable. We couldn't do anything. We've since gotten some treatments for her. We've worked through some different things. But really for her, the best thing about homeschooling is that she has that time to adjust. She has that time to let everything go. If we're at home and we're doing different things and whatever, then she's fine. But she cannot deal with the chaos. She was having meltdowns. Even just going to church after she'd been at school all week was a nightmare. And then Naomi, she wasn't learning anything. We were halfway through the school year. No books had come home. No assignments had come home. Nothing was going on. And she started out speech delayed. And so I felt like she was already behind when she started kindergarten. And by the time we took her out, was even more behind. And it was so frustrating. And so then I spent the rest of that school year, we went to a homeschool conference and heard from different people. I really had no idea what I was doing. And I tried so many different methods and so many different programs and different things that worked for other people or my friends or what I read about. I follow so many homeschool sites on Facebook. I follow so many things on Pinterest and everything. I pin hundreds of things. And I feel like all of those things were fine, but I fell kind of into the trap that I think most people that are starting out homeschooling fall into. And that's, I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel totally inadequate and totally unprepared to do any of this. So that was that first half of a year. And then we kind of did another full year. We changed up things. We got different things. We hit the secondhand stores and all of those places buying books and different things that I thought we needed. And some of the things are useful. But I wouldn't say that we needed anything per se. I mean, you go with your state laws and those kind of things. And that's different for everyone. Here, the only thing that's required to homeschool is just basically a letter of intent saying, hey, we're doing this, and you withdraw your kid. There's not really any guidelines or anything. And so from that standpoint, I kind of felt like I'm not doing enough. I'm not and my kids were happy and they're thriving and that sort of thing. But you also get all the criticisms from people that I'm sure mean well, but are not very nice about it. So this past school year, we started with a program called Harmony, and they allow you can choose electives, you can buy homeschool resources or anything you want, really, and kind of build your curriculum that way. My favorite things I have so far would be Life of Fred, both the math and the language arts curriculums, and really just letter books. There are so many free principles you can get. There are things that you can watch on Netflix. There are things you can watch on YouTube, things you can watch on Amazon. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to not have any curriculum like that you have to purchase, then just have a good printer, lots of paper, and lots of ink or toner, and just go for it. You can really shape homeschool however you want. And like I said, I mean, we started with Harmony, which has given us some different opportunities. There's so many blessings involved in homeschool. There are so many times when my kids have been sick, or I've been sick, or the weather has just really been terrible, or just so many things that, had they been going to a public school, would have been very detrimental. You can still school when they're sick. You can still school if you want to go on vacation. You can still do school anywhere, anytime. And that has been such a blessing in our family. And so we've been doing this program since the start of the school year. And then just recently, I decided to get us on a better schedule because I felt crazy. And the kids were fine, but I kind of felt like we weren't getting done what I wanted to get done during the day. So I get up at 6 a.m. and that is my time to wake up all the way, read my scriptures, work on making breakfast, and those kind of things. And then the kids get up at 7 and they eat breakfast, and then we have breakfast chores. And that can be doing the dishes, that can be sweeping the floor, that can be vacuuming. Some days it's more stuff than other days. And then at 8, we exercise. And I like to exercise before the kids get up, because otherwise they all want to climb on me, which is less effective. And that's kind of open. They can do dance, they can do yoga, they can do whatever. There's so many cute and fun things on YouTube that are easy and free. And then at 8:30, we start our reading time. And for us, that is a program called Lexia, or a program called iReady. We can read Life of Fred, they can do journaling, they can do handwriting. Anything that has to do with letters or reading is acceptable during that time. So each of their classes are 45 minutes long. So after reading, we have math. That starts at 9:15. So for us, that can be Dreambox, that can be ABCYA, that can be Alex, that can be Prodigy Game, that can be iReady, that can be Life of Fred. We have several board games that have to do with math and numbers and counting. Any of those things are acceptable. At 10 o'clock, we start social studies. And right now we are reading The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And I generally read that to them, and then after each chapter ask them some questions to make sure that there's some comprehension going on. Previously, we had read Night by Eli Wiesel. We've watched Sound of Music. We've watched some survivor stories and those types of things. And so this is kind of a continuation of that, even though it wasn't all in a row kind of thing. And then at 10:45, we do art and music. And I'm really flexible about what they're allowed to do during that time. That can be drawing, coloring, any of those dress-up games, anything that's like Toca Boca Hair Salon, Crayola. They can play on the piano. They can do singing. It can just be music sometimes. We've done that in the car before and just put on music that they would sing to. At 11:30, we have lunch. My husband usually comes home at that time. And so we do lunch and clean up all together. And then at 12:30, they have science. And then with our Harmony program, they have some worksheets that are required just once every 2 weeks. And so that is also our time to work on worksheets. Now, considering if all of that goes well, at 1:15, they are allowed to have free time. I prefer it to be educational activities. It is not always. Sometimes that's Minecraft. Sometimes it's Rocket League. Sometimes it's screaming at each other and whatever. We have 7 kids, so a schedule was absolutely necessary. Ideally at 5:30, we have dinner and then our evening chores. And however quickly they get done with that will depend on how much free time they have after dinner. At 7 o'clock, it is time to get ready for bed. That's our family scripture study. That's baths. That's brushing teeth. That's all those things, getting in pajamas and all of that. So they can be in bed no later than 8:30. And that includes me. and there is a little bit of leeway there. As long as everyone is in bed by 9, then we're good to go. Because it is difficult to get up at that 6 o'clock time, if not. Now my kids, my oldest is 12 right now. He's in 7th grade. And then my next is 10. She's in 5th grade right now. And then Rosie is 9 and she's in 3rd grade. Naomi is 7 and she's in 2nd grade. Ireland is 6 and she's in kindergarten. And then my twins are 4 years old and they are both in preschool right now, but they will be starting kindergarten in the fall. And so we've been very excited. They really love to do school. And it has allowed us, like I said, so many opportunities and blessings, included with that, some things that were happening during the day, during a school day, that they wouldn't normally be able to do. We've been able to go to that. Things like a road trip. We went on a road trip at the beginning of the school year this year. We drove all the way from our home in Utah up to Mount Rushmore and then to Nebraska and Missouri, Illinois, Ohio, New York. We went to Niagara Falls. Then we drove down to Arkansas and through Texas and New Mexico to Arizona and then back home. It was a crazy road trip and it was so amazing. And we had so much fun learning different things. It was very educational. And had they been going to a public school, there's no way that we could have taken off 2 weeks of school right at the beginning. And been okay, you know, but because we are homeschoolers, that just it allowed us to do so many things that we wouldn't normally be able to do in a traditional schooling situation.